What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. It has been a very busy week in Baltimore, and because of that, we got to give you a new salary cap update that dropped this morning. You're going to want to see where the Baltimore Ravens sit right now. After that is a Roquan Smith trade on the table. I've been seeing rumors around the internet, around social media, online, a couple of different NFL analysts. We're going to break down that possibility, and then up last, I'm going to talk about 5 Ravens players that you need to watch being on the trade block. Before we go any further, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so, and my goal is to get to 38,500 subscribers by the end of the day. This is a live sub count, okay? We're sitting at 38,445. That means we're 55 subs away from 38.5K. If you haven't subscribed, I need your help. It's free to do so. Like I said earlier, it does not cost you a dime, and it locks you in for daily coverage. With that, let's get to the rest of the video. So we know that Eric DeCosta has been very active this week. And I think that's really one of the things that's given me hope about this season, or at least giving me excitement about how the front office is handling this. With a 1-4 start, the last thing you want to see is a general manager that's just sitting on his hands. So regardless of the moves that have been made, I'm just happy that this team is out there doing something, that Eric DeCosta is out there doing something. And he's been making very cost-efficient moves. He's not just making moves to make moves. He's making moves that he's being really wary of the cost or the things that you are saving when making said moves, like adding C.J. Gardner-Johnson. A lot of people think because of that name value, that's a move that's going to cost you a lot of money, signing him in free agency. It's actually not. He already has a fully guaranteed salary for 2025 because of the Houston Texans, so that signing really did not cost you much at all. And then there's the Odafe trade, right? You add Alohi Gilman, safety, who played 85% of the Los Angeles Chargers snaps over the last 2 seasons, and a 5th-round pick. You give away Odafe, and with giving away Odafe, like we talked about before, you save $8 million in cap space. So the update we got this morning, just about 30 minutes ago, the Ravens' current cap space sits at $14.27 million, which is the 14th most in the National Football League. So what could this all mean? What could all that money be for? Is what we're asking today. Because there's a reason, and we've already had this confirmed from John Harbaugh himself, that they are making this cap space. You don't just trade away a player, save $8 million. You don't just sign one of the cheapest safety options on the free agency market unless you have plans past that. Well, there's 2 reasons, in my opinion, to save cap space. Number 1 is to make future moves. To make another trade over the next couple of weeks before that NFL trade deadline that's on November 4th. And again, like I mentioned just about a minute ago, John Harbaugh has already been asked about this. He's already talked about it, and he's leaving the door open to do something defensively. He says, I think so, talking about adding a pass rusher. Our guys will be in there. Their ramps will rep up. Then I'm sure the trade deadline, those are going to be conversations that will be had. So you hear it from the horse's mouth right there. Baltimore Ravens are interested and will be discussing adding a defensive player on that defensive line to trade for at some point over the next couple of weeks. My top targets are as follows. And a lot of these guys we actually talked about on last night's video, but I need to talk about them again. Jeffery Simmons, Maxx Crosby, Kayvon, Thibodeaux, Trey, Hendrickson, and Jaelan Phillips. If you got any of these 5 guys in a trade over the next couple of weeks, I would be absolutely ecstatic because of what they'd bring to your football team and because of the help they would give you when it comes to rushing the passer and stopping the run. And the cool thing about all those guys is every single one of those teams are going to be sellers at the deadline, in my opinion. There is no way that the Tennessee Titans are going to be buyers. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to be buyers. The Bengals, the Dolphins. You'll get what I'm saying. Every single one of those teams will be listening to trade offers, probably for every single one of those players. Will Baltimore be able to give them the best trade package? That also goes into the fact that this team has 5 5th-round picks at the moment. That's going to help you a lot when trading for a player. But unfortunately, we're talking about money today. You can't just be monopoly land. You can't just trade for a player and print more money. That's not how this league works. That's not how the world works. I wish it was. If it was, I'd be sitting in a 15,000 square foot mansion right now. But I'm not. I'm in a 1,000 square foot apartment, regardless of my living situation. Let's talk about the money and the cap hit for each of those trades, starting off with Jeffery Simmons. So you have $14 million of cap space, a little bit more than that. The cap hit to trade for Simmons would be $12.5 million. So you'd be able to pull that off right now. Now, the other thing about Simmons He's getting close to the end of his deal. Who knows if you'd want to extend him with another deal. Regardless, you cross that bridge when you get there. Getting him on the team and the cap hit for this year's salary will be $12.5 million. Maxx Crosby a little bit more expensive, and this isn't a surprise. We all kind of knew, talking about all these guys, Maxx Crosby would cost you the most. That cap hit would be $23.3 million. So if you want to trade for Maxx Crosby, it's a possibility, but you have to make a lot more moves happen to free up about $9 million more in cap space. Again, not hard to do. People do it all the time. They could trade away another player. They could restructure a guy's contract. There's a couple extensions they could make that actually add cap space, but you need to do that to be able to get Mad Max. For Kayvon Thibodeaux, he's going to be your cheapest option, and that's because he is still playing on that rookie deal. But with that rookie deal, there's probably some sort of expectation that if you do trade for him, you would also extend him in the future. $3.5 million for this year's salary, that's what it would cost you. And if you don't, then he'd be a free agent after this season. Trey Hendrickson, he is on a one-year deal with Cincinnati, and this is why I believe they are so open to trading him, because they didn't want to sign him to a future contract extension, which means that if they get a right trade offer, I think they'd be willing to part ways because they know that no matter what, pretty much, he's not going to be on this team in 2026. It would cost you $11.3 million, so you would be able to afford it. But the big question when trading for Trey Hendrickson is, would a team like Cincinnati make an interdivision trade? Those are very, very rare. Jaelan Phillips would cost you $9.2 million. Look, Miami has been awful. They have been one of the worst teams in the National Football League. Their defense has been atrocious. Not as bad as yours, but it's been bad. He's been the only bright spot today. So, there's multiple reasons to save cap space. Like we said, number one, future moves. Number two, extensions. Just like they already extended Kyle Hamilton just about a month ago. So there's some extensions that this team would need to make, and that would add to this team's take up this team's cap space. They already did it with Kyle Hamilton, but two other guys that are on their horizon that might possibly get extended are Isaiah Likely and Tyler Linderbaum and Travis Jones as well, for that matter. All three of those guys, if they were extended today, that would take up cap space. So with them having $14 million, anytime you want to extend those guys, it would take away that cap. There are some extensions you could make that would add to your cap space, funny enough. Lamar Jackson's one of them. Mark Andrews is one of them. Now, I don't think they're going to extend Mark Andrews. I think that's out of the picture. But any day when they want to extend Lamar Jackson, that's going to add to your cap space, give you a little bit more money to work with, because that'll lower his cap hit for this year and the next couple of years to come. Act like Eric DeCosta. What will the Baltimore Ravens use that $14 million for? Will they use it for a trade, or will they use it for an extension? You let me know in the comments section down below by typing T for trade or type in E for extend. Gage, let's talk about our friends at PrizePicks before we go on to our next segment, because that one went a little bit longer than I originally thought it was going to be. But regardless, PrizePicks is giving you an awesome deal right now. If you want to take advantage of it, all you got to do is download the PrizePicks app, use our code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups. They just give you $50 in lineups. All you got to do is play $5 lineup. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Zay Flowers' receiving yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You could double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And if you like to play things a little bit safer, PrizePicks is the perfect app for you because of that flex play, right? Here's my PrizePicks lineup for Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams. I have the more on Zay Flowers receiving yards, the more on Derrick Henry rush yards, and the more on Matthew Stafford pass yards. Say 2 of these hit, but one of them doesn't. If you flex play it, you still win money. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. So let's talk Roquan Smith, because there's rumors out there that Roquan Smith might be on the trade block. Given how he's played this season, I don't think that should be too big of a surprise, but I'll let you hear more from Kyle Krabs, NFL analyst. Injuries can be fickle, and Baltimore has had a lot of them, including one to Roquan Smith. The Ravens haven't seen the best version of him since 2023, and given the long list of potential free agents that need attention, you can make an argument that Baltimore should be willing to listen here for the right offer. So he hasn't played very well, but I think the biggest reason to listen to trade offers is because what you could save. In trading Roquan, you'd save $3 million in 2025, $20 million in 2026, and $20 million in 2027. You are paying him like the second best linebacker in football, and I'll just tell you this right now, eye to eye, man to man, he's not playing like the second best linebacker in football. He's probably not even playing like a top 5 linebacker in football right now, and that's why, if I'm being honest with you, I'd be open to hearing those trade offers. There's nothing wrong with just picking up the phone and listening to what some guys might have to say. Because I still think you could get a decent bit for him. Roquan Smith still has that name value. And if you get him in the right offense with a good amount of surrounding talent, like I still think people think he could be extremely useful. So, what would a trade look like? What would a trade cost? Well, I think to answer that question, you got to go back to what you traded for him back all the way in 2022. It wouldn't be the same, but I think this gives us a good base level to look at and then strip them some things back from. So the Ravens got Roquan Smith in 2022, and they gave up a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and A.J. Klein, a linebacker for the Chicago Bears. I think right now, the 2025 version of him, just 3 years later, you could get an early day 3 pick. I think you get a third-rounder. Maybe like a third and a seventh at an early day 3 and a late day 3. Or you could get a defensive starter and a late day 3 pick. Or I guess a third rounder would be a late day 2 pick. That's what I meant in the beginning. Okay? You can get a third rounder or you get a defensive starter and a late day 3 pick. Depending on the team, I would probably prefer the latter. I would prefer a defensive starter because this team frankly needs one, and like a 7th round pick over a third rounder. Because you already have so much draft capital, I'm not necessarily interested with adding more draft capital. I'm more interested with just getting better players on this football team, especially when it comes to the defensive line. Who might be interested? Well, I think the Dallas Cowboys, Indianapolis Colts, and Washington Commanders are 3 names to look at. Dallas, especially if they feel like they're going to be buyers, if they rattle off a couple of wins and their offense is clicking right now, they might feel like, look, we just need to change some things on defense. We just need to add a Mike linebacker that we've got confidence in, and then that's going to change the trajectory of this season. Indianapolis, they are overperforming far past what anybody expected them to, and they could use some linebacker help, as well as the Washington Commanders, who they've got Bobby Wagner, but let's face it, how many more seasons does Bobby Wagner have in this league? You could slide in a guy like Roquan Smith and a Dan Quinn system, and he'd fit in like that. Be honest with me. Do you think the Ravens should trade Roquan? Give me a yes or give me a no in the comment section down below. In a second, I'm going to tell you 5 Ravens you should watch for on the trade block. Before that, let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right. Before we get out of here, 5 Ravens I think could possibly be on the trade block. We already talked about Roquan Smith. I think he's one of them. These are 5 other guys. Mark Andrews. I'm actually going to go into much more detail about this tomorrow, so make sure you have those notifications on so you can watch that video whenever we drop it. I think he seriously and legitimately is on the trade block. Trenton Simpson, I think, is another guy. I think Teddye Buchanan has shown them a lot. They've shown them at least, he's not that much of a step back. If anything, he's probably a step forward and above Trenton Simpson. If they feel like they can get something for him because he's a young player, a lot of guys might think they'll be able to mold him. I think he's on the trade block. Daniel Fa'alele, a guy who they could market as, hey, this is a 2-year starter. It hasn't been a good 2 years of him starting, but other teams don't have to know that. Right? You don't have to tell that to other teams. Obviously, they have the film. They can watch it for themselves. It wouldn't take long for them to see that he sucks, but still, he's a guy who's a guard who started for 2 years. Keaton Mitchell, this one pains me. It pains my heart. I hate it. But let's be real, guys. Keaton Mitchell could very likely be traded because this team obviously does not see the true asset that he is. We all know how good of a player he is. We saw it in preseason. We saw it his rookie year. This dude's an absolute freak, and for some reason, it just goes right over the head of John Harbaugh. Other teams might look at that, and they might want to scoop him up. And 5th, Marlon Humphrey. This one's a question mark because I think of the 5 of these, he's probably the least likely, but I do still think that's a discussion you have. He has not had a great year. You could save some money for him, and I still think there's some people out there, some teams out there that would be willing to give you a pretty good, amount back for a guy like Marlon Humphrey. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you got me followed on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and make sure you're subscribed. Again, we showed you that live sub count earlier, trying to make that go up, and I need your help to do so.